Ellen, is he present or is he muted?
I'm
Anybody
here.
know?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Casey Hargrove.
I'm here.
David Wells, you're here, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Waylon. Is Waylon here? If, regardless, or as Lee would say, irregardless, let's get this thing going. Let's see. Let the record show that we have obeyed the Open Meetings Act, and we have a quorum present. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Time is 11:01. Regular session. Discussion and consider adopting resolution number 21-001R, approving a revised economic incentive agreement with Compass Data Centers, DFW3 LLC, equivalent to a 35% rebate to Compass of the 1/2 cent local sales tax revenue for construction materials, servers, and other data center equipment, including fixtures, if applicable, other tangible personal property, supplies, and taxable services used or consumed at the Compass property that are not otherwise exempt from Texas sales and use tax. Lee, you want to tell us about this?
Well, either I can or Todd or Bob.
Todd, whoever wants to talk about it.
Mayor and Council, I guess I'll start off. In trying to get the agreement with Compass and their data centers completed, you had previously approved basically a 20-year rebate to allow a separate, what they call a separation agreement, to have all the sales tax, have a tax situs of Red Oak for all of the construction and the original furniture, fixtures, and equipment. In trying to get that document completed, as you had previously authorized, their attorney with the principals at Compass request wanted to also include replacement servers. It was my interpretation of what you had authorized that was not allowed. I informed them of that replacement equipment or replacement servers or data equipment was not included in the rebate amount. They came back and then requested that they would forego the 20-year request and request a 7-year agreement, which allowed the rebate to only be effective for 7 years in lieu of 20 years for all the construction of facilities on the land, and that it would also include replacement equipment, such as the replacement servers or replacement data equipment. So what they've done is basically wanted to kind of renegotiate from a 20-year rebate period to a much shorter rebate period. And in turn for that reduced rebate period, they would be allowed to get the sales tax rebate for a 7-year period, and it would include the replacement servers. So we're bringing this to you with no recommendation one way or another. We're merely bringing this forward to you for you to discuss. If you approve it, then we'll approve basically the agreement that Ms. Hoffman has provided to us and that we have made some tweaks to, and get that signed and get on down the road with regard to Compass. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion or questions for Bob?
Yeah, I have a few. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, David.
One, past the 7-year period, will the replacement servers be included in the tax base? So that's one question. Second question is, And it's really more of an observation. Being an IT, these guys are going to replace a lot of servers, and they're going to do it like every 1.5 years. So it's a big tax cut for us. Just realize the money impact. They're going to spend a lot of money on servers refreshing their systems. It's going to happen. It's a lot of money. So not sure what the dollar value is, but it's something to consider. We're writing off a big piece here.
Well, we're writing off the piece to be able to guarantee that they buy it and that the sales tax comes to Red Oak as opposed to somewhere else.
I got you.
So, you know, we got that going for us. The other issues are, you know, if they continue developing as we expect that they will, it will be much longer than 7 years that they'll be continuing to buy new servers and buildings and so forth. So at that point, after the 7 years, we would retain all of the sales tax.
Okay.
And as far as the tax rolls themselves, we're not cutting anything necessarily any differently on that. This is just concerning the sales tax.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things also for Board Member Wells, and we really haven't visited a great deal about this, but the State Comptroller's Office has adopted a new rule called Rule 3.344, which has to do with tax situs. Currently, Texas is or has been traditionally, let me say this, traditionally, Texas has been a place of origin sales tax situs, which means if you buy something in Red Oak, then Red Oak would be the city that would receive the sales tax from that transaction. There was a case involving Wayfair that was decided by the U.S. Supreme Court and under the Commerce Clause and the Taxation Clause of the Interstate Commerce that, as you all know, by buying stuff on Amazon over the last year, that you used to not pay sales tax. Now you do pay sales tax on those Amazon purchases. And that's because there's, I guess the Supreme Court said it was not a violation of the Interstate Commerce Clause in the Constitution to tax an interstate sales transaction, but it had to be apportioned either from the place of origin or place of destination. The Comptroller's Office has now, without legislative authorization, now changed their requirements that Texas is now, instead of a place of origin, is a place of destination sales taxpayer. So if someone buys something in Red Oak, then Red Oak would receive the sales tax from that purchase instead of being a place of origin. So if you bought something from Oklahoma City, then Oklahoma City would not charge a sales tax. A Red Oak resident or Red Oak business would pay that sales tax as being a place of origin. That rule is under litigation. There is legislation being proposed which may put us back to a state of origins in lieu of a state of destination. And I say all that because that may impact anyone's ability to pay sales tax or not pay sales tax. What we've done with this agreement is try to make Red Oak the place of destination and the tax site is for the transactions relative to the facility in Red Oak. So I only give that to you as background. There is a clause in the agreement that if the legislature overrides this agreement, then they won't get any sales tax rebate because we won't collect any sales tax on that transaction. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions about that, but some of that is beyond the city council's ability to control or the board's ability to control, but up to the legislature and then ultimately maybe to the court, depending on how all that gets implemented. So,
is there any other questions?
Yeah. Go ahead. Bob, I'm just trying to understand what you just said. Does this mean that it is possible that this agreement could end up being essentially moot?
Yes.
Yeah.
And-
Especially as to it relates to furniture, fixture, and equipment. It won't be moot as to the building material portion, but it may impact the furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the replacement servers. So if they're buying the servers from California and California has a sales tax, a place of origin, then we're not going to collect any sales tax, so we're not out 35%. If we become a state of destination, then we would collect it. California would not collect it. So then we would receive that sales tax. But if we remain in the state of origin, we would not collect sales tax on that transaction.
But if it was a state of destination, then we would.
And then the agreement would be in
But
effect.
but the point of the my understanding of the agreement is that it ends up basically requiring them to recognize Red Oak, the place of destination, as where they're going to pay the tax. And part of the point of doing the rebate is that it does require them to do that.
Correct.
So that's how we collect from it. If we became a state of destination, we would get 100% of this tax regardless of the agreement, and we wouldn't have to, it wouldn't be in question whether or not whether the tax was going to be applied in Red Oak. It would be applied in Red Oak, and we get all of it. We wouldn't have needed an agreement giving them back 35%.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. They could buy them in Austin and move them up here.
Right.
Inside the state.
Right.
I see. Okay. All right.
And okay. All right. Thank you.
And each time they go to a new phase, it kicks in a new 7 years for that phase. Is that the way it works, like we've done other places?
No.
Or
no.
7 years from the date of execution, right, Bob?
Yes, sir. And we didn't do that because they indicated that what they're giving up is if they don't build out within that 7 years, then they're foregoing any sales tax rebate, period.
But like with the property tax, once the rebate comes off, we know we're getting the property tax, or
yeah, this has no effect on the alarm tax.
But this being a sales tax, and the point of the agreement being to make sure that they pay the tax here, once the agreement's over, they could just as easily begin to recognize the sale at the other end or whatever. So it's not like we're just automatically going to get that sales tax once the agreement goes off. It could shift to the other end.
Correct.
And okay. I'm not arguing any of it. I just want to make sure I understand.
And you would still have the ability, there'll be furniture, fixture, and equipment ad valorem tax that would also be due.
Okay.
Any other questions about this resolution?
No matter what, or I guess assuming we approve it, it still goes to council for approval, right?
No, this is only IDC.
This is only your IDC portion.
I thought even council had to approve anything even tax related to even IDC's portion.
We have an agreement with them on the city's portion. There needs to be an agreement for IDC's portion because the tax will be paid. So the money will go to you and you control that money. It's not an expenditure. You're correct, Mr. Hargrove. If there's an expenditure, it requires council approval.
Okay. So council has approved their portion of this.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
EDC will as well. All three entities will be approving their own essentially.
They have not asked us anything about the city's portion yet.
Yeah,
At
the
least
city
I'm not.
has the
Unless
original
they've done
agreement in
so to
place.
Lee or to Todd, they have not.
And the city still has the original agreement in place. They have not requested any changes on it. They're only looking at this point at the IDC and EDC on these new agreements that they're doing.
Correct.
Any other question?
Bob, this is Lee, did I understand you correctly that assuming IDC approves this and subsequently if the EDC approves their portion, this does not have to be approved by city council since it's not an expenditure?
Correct.
True.
Okay, got it.
It's really because we're making the rebate out of the money that's paid from the taxes. So, and when we originally did this, the council understood that there was the IDC and the EDC portion was also in play. And it's not uncommon for either IDC or EDC to make a sales tax grant that the city council doesn't. So only your portion of the sales tax applicable to that entity is at play for the rebate.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to make sure. Yeah, thank you.
But Compass's expectation or request is essentially that all three entities do the same thing, right?
Not so far.
Not so far.
Really? Okay.
For whatever reason, they have not asked the city to take its 1% and make it subject to the 7-year agreement.
Okay.
If there are no more questions, I will accept motions on resolution 21001R.
Well, I would, this isn't really a question. I just want to point out, this is kind of the chicken or the egg. Obviously, I don't really care either way, kind of along with staff, really no recommendation, but obviously we don't want to go opposite of what council may end up doing or EDC may ends up doing. Obviously whatever it is, I think all three entities need to be in agreement. So to that end, I don't know if I'm speaking for other entities, but how does that actually play out?
Each entity has their own agreement that they approve independently. They can be the same. They don't have to be the same.
It'd be really complicated if we do this and they go to the other one. Well, I would imagine.
It actually is not as complicated as because they're required to make the report. So the report would go through Lee to either finance, and if it's our 1/2 of 1%, they're supposed to file that report under the scheme that we have with, and then we review it, and then whatever the amount of sales tax that's at play for purchases that they've made and that they file proof for would account for that and make the rebate just on their 1/2 cent. So
Okay.
I don't want to speak for Todd's staff, but it really is not all that complicated.
Yeah.
They'll have to file 3 separate reports. We would review them for authenticity and verification, and then just mathematically apply the number to what we get for that 1/2 cent for
Right.
IDC, 1/2 cent for EDC, and make the appropriate rebate.
Okay, good. Because
I don't know about.
I didn't. Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to assume that they do ask this from council, and then they go to council, and council for some reason has a strong aversion to doing this, and we already approved it. I just didn't want to tie anybody's hands.
Understood.
And if I'm correct, I think this same thing is on EDC's agenda for this evening, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's got to start somewhere. I'm okay with it being here.
Do I hear a motion?
I have one further question for you. Bob, you had said that you had no real recommendation about it. These were just the facts. But I would ask Todd and Lee, do you have a recommendation here? Or any version or any other comment?
I'm fine with it. You know, and honestly, I wouldn't be that opposed if they wanted to leave it at 20 years. I'm okay with a 7 because we can always come back and do a new one 7 years from now. What I don't want to have happen is we get to the end of the 7 years and they start buying it somewhere else and we don't get any of the sales tax. So I'm okay with 7. We can amend it later if we need to. If council doesn't change any of theirs, they're going to buy it here anyway, and we get 100% of it. So
And as the
to tell you the
agreements,
truth, to tell you the truth, based on what Casey was talking about, I actually prefer it this way. I like council having it the way council has it, because that keeps the 20 years in place. And I like having the IDC and the EDC at the 7 years, because the 20 years, they're still going to buy the new ones in Red Oak to get the city's discount, and we'll get 100% of ours.
Yeah, and if we go to in either the legislature or the comptroller's office after the legal challenge, if we become a destination, then the destination in all likelihood will always be Red Oak, because they'll have them delivered there. And this idea of what the point of sale is crazy, because as Todd alluded to, if my home office is in Austin and I may place the order there, but it's drop shipped to Red Oak, then the point of destination, is it Red Oak or is it Austin? And so what we've done by these agreements is basically they're acknowledging that the place of destination is Red Oak. So this really, as the law is currently written, is in our favor.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that the legislature won't do something crazy, but this is the best we can do under the rules that have been really changed and are currently under some flux at the legislature. So thank you.
Lee, what about you? You agree?
No, I'm definitely
dislike?
okay. No, I'm definitely okay. I think it's much in our favor. Yeah.
okay, so what's the motion to be made?
Adopting resolution number 21-001R.
So
As
moved.
presented, and I would so move that motion.
Okay.
Moves made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Move. Alan second. All in favor. Alan.
Aye.
Casey.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Waylon is still not with us. In case Ben, aye. Motion carries. All right. Item number B, discussion and consider adopting resolution number 21-002R, approving an offer from the Texas Department of Transportation to purchase right-of-way properly identified as right-of-way CSJ 009510-056, parcel number 34E, right-of-way CSJ 0154, parcel ID 34E, located in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. That the president of the Red Oak EDC, should be IDC, is authorized to execute such agreement after approval by the Red Oak IDC attorney. Todd, do you want to, sounds pretty simple, but do you want to explain this, or Lee?
Yeah, I can if you'd like to. On the screen, the first parcel of property is this 10.5 acres that is located just to the east of the Fearless Dental Clinic, and that was originally part of the Industrial Development Corporation property. And TxDOT is widening the right-of-way, and so, gosh, I don't have it on this, but anyway, I can go back to it. Anyway, they're taking a portion of this property and they'd be taking 37,225 feet of this parcel. They're offering $65,000, and then if we can close within 30 days, they would give us an incentive of $6,500, which would be a total of $71,600, which is $1.92 per square foot for the right of way. Some of this property is, as you can see, is in the floodplain. So anyway, so their offering is again total $71,600 excuse me, $1.92 per square foot.
Does that go all the way to the bank, Wells Fargo?
Yes, that is the bank property right there.
Can't see. We can't see that in because, or I can't
I can't either, but
because of my screen.
I got it.
Go ahead. There, I can now. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you see it now? Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any questions regarding this resolution?
That
So
area,
yeah, they're just widening that. I mean, is all they want to do is basically get a more clearance on the south side of Ovilla? Is that what they're looking for?
Yeah, they're widening Ovilla Road to 6-lane divided, and they need additional right of way. And it differs in different areas. So on this particular one, it's on the south side. On the next one, it's on the north side.
I got
So
you. Okay. Okay.
that property, the rear side of that, we held on to that 10 acres and then everything behind that we committed to Triumph. Is that right? Isn't that right?
Yes, sir. It's 30.3.
Triumph didn't go all the way to the road. We kept just the frontage, 10 acres. Is that
right?
And then a bunch of that land is floodplain and obviously, well, drainage anyway, and not worth as much. But we're getting better than $4 a square foot down where we just did the barbecue place and that sort of thing. Do y'all feel that given the floodplain and all that, $1.92 is fair for the full piece that we're giving them? Is that a reasonable price? I don't really want to argue with TxDOT on this, but I figure the question ought to be asked. Are they offering us a fair price on it?
In my opinion, on what Alan's saying, you can make an argument we could go in an appraisal and maybe squeeze some more out of this, but there's also maybe a bigger issue of working with TxDOT on this and not creating an issue just because, even though TxDOT has all its issues, period. But I would say, I guess there's no reason to create, to hold them up, or they'll have their own, I'm sure, all up and down. But I guess there's an argument to make that, keeping it smooth and easy with the city is good in terms of our relationship with TxDOT.
No, I would
we're
agree.
getting 10% more anyway.
I agree, Casey. My question is, but you could make that case if they were offering 10 cents a square foot too. It'd be very easy. I just want to make sure we can justify the price that we sell it to them. And I'm not asking are we getting the best price. I just want to know we're in the correct ballpark according to the staff. That's all. And my question is also slightly, I haven't seen and looked at the information on the north side. But are they offering the same amount on the north side, or are they valuing that differently?
So that's the north side there.
Right, that's much more valuable property over there. So I just want to see what they're doing.
So they're offering $7.70 a square foot. We paid $3.63. That's the Kelly Harris property.
Okay, then that's fine. I understand. They're giving a lot more for the stuff on the north side and less for the drainage area on the south. Makes sense, as long as y'all think $1.92 is a good enough average price for whatever little bit might be developable with anything.
I think it's reasonable. I think you could probably get more out of them, but I don't know that you're going to go from $1.92 to $4 or something.
Okay. Well, all I'm looking for is the part where you think is reasonable. So.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all I got.
So I do have a question while y'all are discussing that. So they're taking all 10 acres of that?
No,
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 So
no.
what's that distance off the road coming down south?
The picture we have up doesn't show that right away right now. The portion they're taking, it showed it a moment ago somehow.
Well, 37,000 square feet isn't very big at all when you stretch it down that piece right there.
Yeah,
That's
it's it's less than an acre of the entire piece.
Right.
And they're only taking it right there along that little bit where the drainage is. Is that why they're doing it? I mean, it doesn't, in this
Right.
map you got up, it doesn't go all the way down the property. It's just right along it.
Right, it's the drainage area.
Oh, okay. So we're giving them drainage area for $1.92. That's a fine.
That's
That's a deal.
kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think you could dig that thing out and make all that property without make it non-drainage by channeling it, but that's neither here nor there. Do I hear a motion on resolution number 21002R, approved for approval?
Motion we approve.
All right, I hear a motion by Alan. Do I hear a second?
Well,
Second,
that motion was by David.
Oh, excuse me, David.
No
Do I
problem.
hear a second?
Casey second.
All right, motion been made by David, second by Casey. All in favor? Alan,
Aye.
Casey,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ben, aye. Passes 4-0. Item number C, discussion, consider adopting resolution number 21-003R, approving an offer from the Texas Department of Transportation purchase for right away identified as north of Ovilla Road. Do I have any questions on that one?
I do, before you discuss that, as mayor. So
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
I guess I thought that until the I didn't think we had that property yet until we ended up getting the right of way from Google.
No, this is on the Kelly Harris property that we just closed on, Mayor.
Oh, okay. And so they're dealing with Google's right now, or are they
Right.
gonna? Don't we want to try to flip that get that land between there and the railroad track before they get that money to Google?
No, because Google already took that into consideration when we did the deal with them to swap the land on the back. We swapped it with the understanding of the right of way was already going to be in place.
I see. Okay. Thanks.
Is there any
Now I
more questions on resolution?
see the
Any more
picture.
questions on resolution 21003R? If not, do I hear a motion?
I do have one more statement before they do that. Is there a way that we can encourage them to help fund that intersection light there in lieu of some of that money?
So what we would be looking at, assuming Google does go ahead and develop, they've already said that they would fund that red light.
All right. But yeah, fund the light itself. But what about that intersection? Since
No, they won't do the intersection.
okay, I'm just trying to figure out if we can screw them any other way.
Do not put that in the minutes. All right. Do I have a motion on resolution number 21-003R for approval?
Yes, I move that we approve it.
Motion made by Alan. Do I hear a second?
Wells to second.
Well, seconded by David Wells. All in favor, Alan,
Aye.
Casey,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ben, 4-0. Let's go to discussion item D is for Delta. Discussion and consider approval and license agreement by and between the Red Oak Industrial Development Corporation and Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad Company for the purpose of granting a non-exclusive temporary easement to BNSF on the downtown rail spur owned by the IDC in connection with the construction of the track work on BNSF's adjacent property. Would someone like to explain that?
So BNSF is doing some rail work on that line, and they are looking for a staging area so that they can stage their equipment and so forth. And that's basically what we're doing, is the easement to allow them to do that. They originally wanted an exclusive easement for some extended period of time. And we told them that that would not work because we have folks like Foxworth Galbraith who utilize that rail. So they've come back and agreed to that and shortened the time and made it non-exclusive. Did I miss anything?
Is there
Lee?
No, sir, that covers it.
Is there any other questions or to discuss about this item? If not, I will look forward to a motion to approve. Do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the license agreement by in between the Red Oak IDC and BNSF Railroad Company for the purposes of granting a non-exclusive temporary easement to BNSF on the downtown rail spur.
All right, a motion's been made by Casey. Do I have a second?
It's David. A second.
Either way.
David,
Either way.
a second. Okay. Motion made by Casey and second by David. All in favor. Alan,
Aye.
Casey,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Ben, aye. Passes 4-0. Todd, are we going to executive session?
Yes, sir. We will need Mr. Benford to move. Let's see who all. I guess
Me
Mr.
and-
Benford needs to move everybody except himself into executive session.
However,
All right,
really,
the
John,
time.
Ben,
You have something, Lee?
you actually read the two executive sessions for the record.
Time is 11:38. We'd like to adjourn to executive session. Sick of Benford.
All right,
Ben-
now, just for the record, that would be under 551071 to discuss the family of lawsuits involving Rocket Special Utility District, and also under 551.072 regarding deliberations on real property as posted. Thank you, Chairman.
Here we go. Jonathan, shows you haven't joined yet.
All right, let's see. Todd, are you here?
He's here.
Todd, are you here?
He's here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Alan, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Casey,
I'm here.
David,
Yeah, I'm here.
Todd's here. How about the mayor?
Mayor's here.
Yes.
Lee, you
Yes,
here?
sir. Yes, sir.
Have we missed anybody? I guess Bob. Bob's
sir,
here,
I'm
I
here.
believe. All right. From the executive session, there is no action that needs to be taken. Is there anything else we need to discuss in this session of the IDC? If not, I will entertain a motion to close.
So moved. Alan.
Alan's made a motion to move to close. Said Casey second.
Sure. I second.
All in favor, Alan,
Aye.
Casey,
Aye.
David,
Aye.